You could even extend the pillars of to self-esteem being like material versus spiritual, with the material world being success and competition, the spiritual world being goodness, compassion, loving kindness. But both are necessary within this game of life. You know, even if you're a spiritual person and you want to be able to help people, well, you know, you need electricity, you need money, you need food, clothing, shelter, all these different things. Okay. So how like how successful you are in your worldly mission on the material side, the successful side, the competitive side, and then we also have how successful you are in your spiritual mission, loving kindness, evolution of your spirit, getting to know yourself. So there's two poles right there, and both are very important, and both should not be neglected, in my opinion. Okay, you can combine those things, but sometimes it feels like you're serving two masters. So it's really important to be able to find a balance between being a good person and feeling self-esteem and feeling self-worth, as well as feeling successful, recognizing that there's a competition here, recognizing that sometimes you have to be ruthless, and balancing those two forces. Okay, because a purely material person ends up like someone like Jordan Belfort, who, you know, in The Wolf of Wall Street, where, you know, these guys are robbing people for millions and millions of dollars on the phone, and then he's drowning himself in drugs because he hates himself, and he's crashing cars, and he's, you know, doing all kinds of crazy stuff just to get through the day. Even though he has a tremendous amount of wealth and success, he had zero negative self-esteem, negative feeling like a good person. So a purely material life, focused purely on success, purely on competition, will make you miserable with 100% certainty. Okay? A purely spiritual life, on the other hand, can make you a lot happier. The happiest man in the world, as measured by his brain waves, you can look this up, is Mathieu Ricard, a Buddhist monk who lives in a monastery. He's been living in a monastery celibate for 20 years, and does compassion meditation all day. And by his brain waves, he is these are the happiest brain waves that science has measured. Okay, unfortunately, most guys, myself included, don't have that kind of discipline. Okay, and trying to live a purely spiritual life in the midst of a big city ends up in poverty, no dating prospects, and loneliness. Okay, this guy was he's a French monk from a wealthy, I think, French philosopher father, who moved to the Himalayas and lives in this beautiful monastery overlooking, you know, mountains and all these things. Okay, that's a much more pleasant way to devote yourself to a spiritual life, as opposed to you're trying to be incredibly spiritual, but you're living in a big city, working in McDonald's. You know, you have no dating prospects. You know, you have to work a horrible job and try to pay rent and all that stuff, because you're neglecting the material. Okay, I think if you want to do the purely spiritual and move to a monastery like that, or a Christian monastery, whatever way you want to try and win the game of life and become fully evolved, my hat's off to you. I don't have that discipline. And you probably don't either. Okay, and for some people, that path is kind of like a dark night of the soul. A lot of people who pursue spirituality, it can actually be painful. So I feel like there is a middle path to self-esteem. This is what I want to give you. It means pursuing success and women, and, you know, eating well, and, you know, you can drink and all that stuff in an ethical way, but also making, you know, time to help others and pursue your spiritual path. It doesn't have to be anything huge. It can just be giving money to the homeless, or just helping, you know, a friend, or perhaps trying to wrap up being able to help people in your business. It's one of my favorite things, to be able to help people, to see the comments, you know, to be able to coach guys. I really love doing that. And when you do it right, you feel proud of what you achieve, you feel successful, and then on the other hand, you feel like a good guy for helping others and being a better person. Okay, and the money can't buy, success can't buy self-esteem, right? You know, if you do all kinds of unethical things and your reputation's trashed, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You're gonna feel low self-esteem. You might feel successful, but you feel low self-esteem or self-worth. Self-worth can't be bought. Success can be bought. Success can be achieved. It's objective. It's metrics and stuff like that. But self-worth can't. You can't throw a bunch of money at that to feel worthy or to have, you know, a good reputation. So do not neglect that on your path to success and personal development. It's a real thing, and it really matters for your happiness. And there's also, this helper side that maybe you've been missing out on, to where when you really help people, you feel good about yourself. Okay, so that's the basics of it. There's two trees of self-esteem, success, and being a good person. In each of those trees, the more branches you have, the better. So this is the last point I'll make. The more areas you have of self-esteem, the better. For example, like you could be successful at business, but also playing the guitar, and you're also successful with women, and you're also successful in you have a good wardrobe, you have a nice place to live in, or so you have all these different aspects that you've or skills and things like that you've mastered. And then within cooperation, you have different types of ways of helping people, or you've got this very powerful warrior mentality. So like you want to have as many of these different areas of success as possible. So like, the day didn't go too well in business. Well, you know what? You're going to go down to the gym. You're going to go double hard, and you're going to make up for it in that other areas of self-esteem, which is your fitness. Okay. So within those two branches of success and goodness, or competition and cooperation, those are two main branches of the tree. You want to have as many little branches under those areas, so that if certain areas aren't going as well as others, you can go into another area and pick yourself up about how you feel, and sort of re-up on your self-esteem.